When you call on him to remove it, he will not answer you. Very important for us to keep this in mind. The last characteristic I'd like to mention, that is the characteristic which underlies all of these other characteristics, and there are many more. As I said, I'm only choosing a few for us to reflect on tonight as a reminder to myself and to yourselves of the importance of character, that we try to revise our own approach to the religion from this perspective. That underlying characteristic, the Prophet ﷺ had said, is a clump of flesh, mudra. إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله. When it becomes good, the whole body becomes good. وإذا فسدت فسد الجسد كله. And if it goes bad, the whole body goes bad. And that's the heart. ألا وهي القلب. The heart. The heart which needs to be soft to the words of Allah, to advice, to the remembrance of Allah, to submission to Islam, to all of the different things that we've spoken about. And Allah warns us in Surah Zumar, the verse 22, فَوَيْلٌ لِلْقَاسِيَةِ قُلُوبُهُمْ مِنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ. Woe be unto those whose hearts have become hardened from the remembrance of Allah. And Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, among the prayers that he used to make regularly, was asking Allah's refuge. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min qalbin la yakhsha. A heart which has no fear. وَمِنْ عَيْنٍ لَا تَدْمَعْ. And eyes which don't shed a tear. That the hearts are the essence of it all. Our honesty, our humility, our firmness, as well as our gentleness. All of it depends on the state of our hearts. So this is something that we need to reflect on, we need to look at. The characteristic of the believer is that he or she reflects on the state of their hearts regularly to ensure that it has not become hardened from the remembrance of Allah. Now, in the remaining moments of this presentation, I would like to look at how some methods, how we can attain good character. Because okay, we know some of the important characteristics, and we know there are many others. But how do we go about making the change? How do we go about developing good character? Character, the Islamic character. What is the basis of it? First and foremost, we need to study the Qur'an and the Sunnah to understand the importance of that character. And we need, secondly, to be in the company of people of good character, because it rubs off. Prophet ﷺ had said, a person is on the religion of his close friend. Therefore, you should look to see carefully who you take as your close friend. Thirdly, one should consider the negative consequences of bad character. When we act in a bad way, what is the consequence? This is related back to our belief in the Day of Judgment, in the resurrection, responsibility. So what are the consequences of bad character. And this, by reflecting on that, this would cause us to want to stay away from it. Fourthly, we should try to keep in mind the example of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, because Allah told us he's the best example for human beings. And we try to imitate his way as closely as possible. Fifthly, we should force ourselves to do the acts which are associated with good character. If we cannot do it voluntarily, just it's not coming from us easily, we have to force ourselves. Sure, it might seem to be fake, it might not seem to be real, but eventually it can become a part of our character if we keep on doing it. You know, like for example, some women having a problem with covering their hair on the job or certain circumstances. They decide not to cover their hair altogether. Because they say, if I cover my hair outside of that circumstance, then it's like hypocritical. You know, I'm covering sometime and not covering other time. But the point is that it is better to cover sometimes than not to cover at all. That if a person has difficulty with it, it's better to try to do it more and more, and you have to work with it. You have to strive to overcome this weakness which makes it difficult to cover ourselves or to dress appropriately according to Islamic principles. These are weaknesses that we have. We have to know that we have to strive, we have to struggle. Islam is submission. If submission is not there, then where is Islam? If submission is not there, then where is Islam? And this whole issue of dress, I mean, I don't want to make too much of it, in the sense that it is not the whole of Islam, but it is an obvious, recognizable facet of Islam. It is not the core, but it is an outer expression of something. And we have to consider, seriously, what happened to the Muslim world with regards to dress, Muslim dress. We have to consider it seriously. Because our countries were colonized for a period of time in which our national dress became something which we sought to avoid. Those of us that became cultured in that society took on the dress of our masters, our colonial masters. This is what we did. In the case of the men, they put on jackets and ties and suit and pants. They left their whatevers they were wearing, and that's what they started to do. And as they were in the administration with their colonial masters, and the colonial master would throw a party, you had to come to the party, you had to bring your wife, and they tell the wife, well, you know, the masters, the colonial masters, their wives, their hair is all out and everything. So you tell the wife, okay, you know, take your scarf on. So you find in certain countries the scarf became just a little thing, dupatta or whatever they wear across their chest here, a little symbolic something, right? Not worn on the head anymore. This is a process, this is a product of colonization. We have to recognize it. There are so many statements of the Prophet ﷺ in which he stressed that the Muslims should distinguish themselves from the kuffar, from the non-Muslims. They should be distinguished, they should be known. As Allah said with regards to the women when they put their outer garments, he said, لِيُعْرَفْنَا وَلَا يُذَيْنَ, that they be known in the society and not be harmed. So what you dress, how you wear, you are making a fashion statement. You are making a statement. As the non-Muslims, when they wear, you know, their hair all out and they wear little skimpy dresses and expose their bodies, they're making fashion statements. A Muslim, when he or she dresses in accordance with Islamic principles, they are also making fashion statements. They're identifying themselves in the society, and they should be. And this is what makes it very difficult. You have to understand, brothers, something. We make it very difficult for the sisters. Because, of course, for the sisters, when she's a Muslim, she has to cover. She stands out, like they say, a sore thumb. A fly in the milk. She's there. You can't hide it. Whereas, brothers now, they're dressing up like kuffar and they just slide through. Nobody knows. The kuffar could see them. They wouldn't know.